decision by the leader of the Conservative Party to not get those classified briefings means that nobody in his party, not him, nobody in a position of power knows the names of these individuals and can take appropriate action.
Well, that was Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today at the public inquiry into interference, saying that he has names of Conservative parliamentarians who are, quote, engaged or at risk of foreign interference. He also called out Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre just there for not getting the required security clearance to get briefed on matters of intelligence. Now, in response, Pierre Poilievre has released a statement that says, in part, my message to Justin Trudeau is release the names of all MPs that have collaborated with foreign interference. But he won't, because Justin Trudeau is doing what he always does. He is lying, says Pierre Poilievre. So where does the political interference debate go and the foreign interference debate go? And after today's testimony, let's bring in the front bench. Saïd Selvam is the Vice President and Practice Lead of Public Affairs at National Public Relations. Jamie Ellerton is a Conservative strategist and founding partner of Canaptis. And Marika Walsh is a senior political reporter for the Globe and Mail. Marika, let's start with you. Now, the Prime Minister has been pretty guarded about this subject in the past and talking about what he knows and what he doesn't know. Not today, though.
Yeah, it's interesting what he chooses to disclose and not disclose. We've pressed for lots of information about his own party that has been shielded under national security claims. And then today he levels this accusation at the Conservatives in an open setting on live TV, really, because we know every network is airing this. And I don't think it goes anywhere other than to drag this debate further down into the mud. The Conservatives do not have high ground to stand on in this case, but neither does he. He had this information for years and doesn't appear to have acted in any meaningful way until my colleagues at the Globe and Mail, Bob Fife and Steve Chase, started getting these leaks and pushing this information out there to the public, and then there were responses. And I would say that we have learned a lot about just how severe this issue is since then. But the Prime Minister has not shared now the same level of detail that he has on the Conservatives on his own party. All that said, we already knew there was interference in the Conservative Party leadership race. There is more pressure now on Pierre Poilievre to get the briefings, to get fully informed. If he's accusing the Prime Minister of not acting, how can he not do everything he can to also act? Yeah,
Jamie, and to that point, I mean, there is a bit of an issue there because he continues to sit there and say, I'm not going to take the briefing because he believes it'll handcuff him, whereas it doesn't seem like it's really handcuffed Jagmeet Singh. It doesn't seem like it's really handcuffed Yves-François Blanchet, who is the bloc leader in all of this.
Yeah, I think if you even go back to earlier in the spring where Elizabeth May and Jagmeet Singh also said that very different things, having read the same intelligence. I think today is nothing more than a political sideshow, Mike. Like, let's be real here. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of Canada and head of government. The government of Canada today could release the names of members of Parliament who are caught up in foreign interference, unwittingly or not, and they choose not to. The fact that he's now using the Foreign Interference Commission as a platform to like throw a political broadside at the Conservatives, quite frankly, is petty partisan politics in the extreme. And if you even want to get into splitting hairs and being a bit pedantic here, Mr. Poilievre's chief of staff has received the security briefing. And the Prime Minister later on in the day said he actually didn't tell him because he didn't need to know. So if the leader of the opposition's own chief of staff doesn't need to know this, how is the leader any different? Would they withhold information from the Prime Minister's chief of staff that they wouldn't give it to the Prime Minister? I think the Liberals thought they were being quite clever with today's maneuver, but I think this is actually going to blow up in their face even more so in the days ahead.
Saïd, do you think it's going to be possible to get any kind of cross-partisan cooperation now on foreign interference, now that we're here clearly in the political weeds and in the political mud?
It's tough to say. I honestly think that when it comes to foreign interference, because it's such a huge issue and also very politically sensitive when it comes to what can be disclosed publicly, what can't, especially when there is a federal investigation and CSIS is involved. But the political jabs that Trudeau is throwing at Poilievre, Poilievre's throwing at Trudeau, it really does not get down to the brass tacks of things, which is if our sovereignty was compromised in any way through foreign interference, that is a major challenge. Who does the buck stop with at the end of the day when it comes to these issues occurring, it stops with the Prime Minister of Canada. So the fact of the matter is, Trudeau was in charge during the time that this report came out and during the time that these accusations were leveled as well. And he's going to have to wear a lot of these challenges and wear a lot of the outcomes of this report as well. And lobbing accusations across the aisle and talking about security clearances for the opposition, I just don't think it's going to hold much weight, especially when it comes to voters as well.
So, Marika, do you think it worked in terms of even what Jamie thought that this was like a plan, that they would do this on this break week and you know, sort of be the last word on this? Do you think this will, as Jamie said, blow up in the Liberals' face?
Well, I think the Liberals are already wearing a lot of mud on this issue. I don't think they're wearing more now, per se, because of the Prime Minister's testimony, at least from what I saw so far. I think the issue is that the Conservatives cannot claim moral high ground if they're not also doing anything. I think Jamie's absolutely right. Why isn't then the Chief of Staff, who does have the clearance, being told this information? Why was the party not told about the interference in their leadership races? There is overall in Canada a huge issue with what information gets passed on to the people who are the alleged victims or targets of this. There has been a failure over and over again to pass on that information to those people. And I think voters, even though this is not an issue that moves things politically in the polls, would want the parties to put their sort of big boy pants on and be adults and come to the table and figure out how to protect Parliament. This shouldn't be something that's about political game, but that's what's turning into. And neither side is looking better right now.
Yeah, just going to mark that one down. Marika's saying putting their big boy pants on.
Or skirts, their big girl skirts. That works too.
Did not have that on my bingo card today. Okay.